Okie dokie. So let's talk about how to do testing. So Eleni has already written the scenarios, which requires a different kind of work. She goes through, creates a matrix of all the types of questions that are there, and then decides what needs to be tested. And then what you do is you take those things that you need to be that need to be tested and write like realistic profiles and stories, which become the scenarios. So I'm going to share that now. Um, These are the scenarios on the Trello card, which is living in testing on the testing board, because that's the stage it's in.
Okay.
It should have all of the links for everything you need if you lose your place. So we've got the interview is hosted on the test server, which means you don't have to like download it into your profile or excuse me into your playground and run it. This link just a hot link and it just opens right into the interview. So there's no pulling from GitHub. You have the testing scenarios and matrix, which is this Google Sheet that I was talking about. We always want to be in the scenarios tab as a tester. If you open it into the matrix, it's not really going to make a lot of sense for the context that you have at the moment. Just make sure you're in the scenarios tab.
Okay.
And then the last link is a Google Drive folder, which is for testing video and testing PDFs. And we have a testing video because we record the movement of your screen when you're testing, and then we want to upload the resulting PDF for checks.
Okay.
So as a tester, the way you do this is we go through across. So this is scenario one. You'd put your
Okay.
name in if that's the one you're going to do, and then here's your scenario. And then
Okay.
what Eleni's done is called out a few places that we want to just make sure that you are very clear in what you're doing. Hopefully, in the scenario, you know and it's clear, but these are just like some call outs for questions that you can come back to double check.
Okay.
So let's just read through this one together and um, you can tell me if you have any questions. And without actually looking at the interview, it doesn't really mean much. But the appeals court made their decision on February 1st, 2021. You sounds like tap to keep going on the warning screen. So we should see a warning screen.
Okay.
Don't know how to say this name, but this is who you're gonna be. Mr. P is a recent immigrant from the United States from Greece and can barely understand English. And so essentially, if we go through and kind of tap through, we'll see this question. Did the appeals court make its final decision before July 19th, 2021? And in
Okay.
that first sentence, we got the appeals court made its decision on February 1st, 2021. So, how would we answer this question? We would say yes.
Yeah.
And it looks like we got that warning screen and
Okay.
it said to keep going. Okay, so what is your first name? Well, she only gave us a last name, so we can make it senior. And then what is our address? Did she give us that information? No. Okay, so then you can kind of fill in the blank um, with other information. Didn't give us
Okay.
her phone number. And the all the information is kind of in an order. So here it says he barely understands English. Well, and he's Greek, and that has to do with the interpreter question. Um, does he need an interpreter? It sounds like yes. And if you keep reading through, he started the case in the trial court against his wife for losing their marriage certificate. His daughter is filing with him. So you read this and you go through the information that's in here corresponds to questions. So he started the case in trial court against his wife. That corresponds with I started the case. Makes sense.
Yep.
And so like Eleni put a column for that question and then some of the other questions just to make it really clear. But essentially what you want to do is you typically wouldn't need to give you this much background, but it is helpful just to understand like why information's here. Each sentence corresponds to something. It's kind of like an exam. The professor's not going to give you a piece of information that is frivolent or
Okay.
excuse me, frivolous. Frivolent, I don't think that's a word. Frivolous. All the information corresponds to something. So if you're going through a scenario and you don't understand why a piece of information was given, that's fine. What we'll do is we go and watch the videos, we look at the PDF, and we'll see how you followed it. And if not, we'll ask you to run the test again and clarify something. And it's good to, it's good to know. Just
Okay. So, and I
because
can write into this form
what do
or
you mean
no?
you can write into this form?
Like, I mean, for tester name, I would have to write my name, right?
Yes, so this is a Google Sheet. So this is open to anybody who has the link, so you'll be able to get in.
Okay.
And so when you go through a scenario, we ask you to share your screen like I've done now. You open a new Zoom meeting, share your screen, and then start recording. So when you're on that first page, start
Okay.
recording, like from the
Okay.
get-go.
Yeah.
And
So I won't be necessarily writing anything down, just running it.
you'll just be running it. You'll be
Okay.
running it with the information in your scenario. And then
Okay.
once it's done and you get to the download screen, like whatever the last screen is, I think here it's a download screen, or it's going to be send to court. So send it, make sure you've downloaded the final one, and you'll stop the Zoom, end it so that you get a clean cut for your video. Wait till you get that, and then you'll come into here and upload the testing video
Okay. Now,
and
what do you
up
mean by a clean cut?
so like if you like start and stop, you can start and stop recordings on Zoom, but we want it to end. So you'll
Okay.
end that whole Zoom meeting
Okay.
so that it doesn't like all of a sudden then start another scenario. We want one video for each scenario so that we can go
Okay.
back. Like if there's an error or something, we want to be able to go back and watch it again and again. I don't want to have to we don't want like the person who's going to resolve that issue have to go through and
Figure out what video.
like search for it in a 5 hour long video.
Okay.
So you would end the whole meeting, you'll get an email, then go download it, upload it into the video, and then please rename them, like the testing video, scenario one, scenario two,
Okay.
scenario three. The numbers are correspond with the rows. Oops,
Okay.
correspond with the rows. Same thing for PDFs. Scenario one, scenario two, scenario three. And then if you catch anything along the way that looks wrong or you get an error, please put that in the comments or issues.
Okay.
Anything seems weird, you look at the PDF and something's wrong, um, stuff like that. Or if you have like suggestions on wording, something was confusing, anything can go in there, really.
Okay.
Okay. So it like can be nice to like split your screens, have the scenario on one side and then the interview on the other. And often running the interview in an incognito mode is
Oh,
better just because even though this is like live, it picks up the cookies and can start you in the middle of where you left off on the last one. If you go to the Trello card and copy the link from here, um, copy link address, and then put that in an incognito mode or your equivalent of on your browser, um, it'll typically work a little bit better. If not,
okay.
just clear your cookies and it'll start you from the beginning.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? Does it make sense? Do you feel like you have to?
Um, yeah, I think I get it.
Okay. Do you feel like you might have questions once you start?
Yeah.
So let me know. But you've got everything you need.
Okay.
Okay. Cool.
Sounds good.
Great. Thanks, Catherine.
Thank you.